Okay, today we're going to review order of operations. Vocabulary you need to know. You need to know what a numerical expression is, and that is an expression only made up of numbers and operations. Now don't think this is really confusing because this is a big word. It's really just something that has numbers and operations in it. So a numerical expression could be 5 plus 2 plus 7 divided by 5. Something you would see like in order of operations. Order of operations is a rule for evaluating these expressions. So what rule do we use to add, or whatever, 2 squared plus 5? What rule do we use? That is the order of operations. And what are those rules? You're going to solve the problems in the following order. First, you're going to solve anything in parentheses or brackets, and they're kind of like the same thing. Then you're going to solve any exponents. Then you're going to multiply and divide. That is one step in the order from left to right. So whatever comes first. If there's a division problem that comes first, you do it before you multiply from left to right. Same thing with step number 4. You're going to add or subtract in order from left to right. So a way that you can kind of visualize this and memorize this little picture, you have your parentheses first, then your exponents, then you have your multiplication and division step, and your adding and subtracting step. Okay, example number 1, and I put our little visualization thing at the side. And I know that you have probably heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But I do like that, and it's very good to remember in PEMDAS. But don't get confused. Don't think that multiplication comes before division, because it doesn't always. Multiplication and division is the same step, and adding and subtracting is the same step. Adding doesn't come before subtraction. If there's a subtraction problem before an addition, you do it first. It's whatever's from left to right. But you will multiply and divide before you add and subtract. Okay, so let's look at this example. You have 27 minus 18 divided by 6. Using order of operations. We look where there's no parentheses, there are no exponents, but there is a division. So the multiplication division step comes before the adding and subtracting step. So you're going to divide first here. So 18 divided by 6 is 3. Then I'm just going to bring down what I haven't used. So now we've only got one step left, and 27 minus 3 is 24. And that is our answer. Okay, looking at the problem here. Once again, we have no parentheses. We have no exponents. But we do have some multiplication and division. And that step comes before the adding and subtracting. So we're going to go to the first multiplication or division problem, and that is this one here. So we're not going to subtract because that's last. We're going to go ahead and do this division first. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. Bring down that 36 minus, and then bring down everything else. I'm going to bring down the things I have not used. Now I look and I've got a subtraction, multiplication, and addition. Well, we're still in the multiplication and division step, so we're going to have to do this multiplying first. 9 times 3 is 27. Bring down everything we have not used. Now we are ready to move on to the adding and subtracting step. Remember, we're going to do whatever is from left to right. Addition doesn't always come first. In this case, subtraction does. So we're going to do 36 minus 27. And that will give us 9. Bring down what we have not used. And 9 plus 8 is our last step. And the answer is 17. As long as you're following your order of operations and looking at it very carefully, bringing down the things you have not used, this is a piece of cake. Okay, now we've thrown in some parentheses and some exponents. So we do have parentheses. So we're going to solve that first. 2 times 6 will give us 12. Now we're going to bring down that 36 minus, And I'm going to now take that squared. The squared belonged to the parentheses. So since the squared, the exponent of 2 here, belonged to the parentheses, it now belongs to the 12 because we solved that. And I'm going to bring down everything else we have not used. We have no more parentheses, so now we're ready to move on to the exponents. So 12 squared is 144, because remember that is 12 times 12. Bring down everything we have not used. Now moving on to the multiplication and division step. We do have division, so that will come next because the multiplication and division step comes before the adding and subtracting step. So 144 divided by 3, once you solve this, you will see that it is equal to 48. And then we bring down everything we have not used. Now we need to think back to our adding integers, because if you have 36 M&Ms, you can't give away 48. So we're going to have to use our rule, keep, change, change. So that's going to be 36, change the minus to a plus, change the 48 to a negative 28. When you actually subtract here, 48 minus 36 is 12, and then we keep the sign of the highest absolute value. So the answer here will be a negative 12. Looking at example number 4. Now here you've got your brackets and parentheses. Now remember, that's the same step. They're like the same thing. You're going to want to complete whatever's the innermost parentheses first. So we're going to have to start inside parentheses and then work our way to solve what's in the brackets. So we're going to look at the middle parentheses first, and then once you look inside these parentheses, you've got two problems. You've got the addition and you've got division. Using order of operations, our division comes first. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. On problems like these, you really need to do one step at a time. Don't try to get ahead of yourself because it can get confusing. So all I did was divide, and then I'm going to bring down everything I did not use. We'll bring down that 4 plus, and then the other side. So now I've still got my parentheses, but we've divided that 12 divided by 4. So now we need to solve the 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3 gives you 7. Now we have solved everything in that parentheses, so those little parentheses can go away now and bring down everything we have not used. You can also change those brackets now into parentheses if you would like, or you can keep them brackets. It's up to you. They're the same thing. So now we have 7 minus 2 to the third. We still have to solve our brackets, parentheses step first. So we're going to look at 7 minus 2, which is 5, and then bring down the cubed. Remember that the cube goes along with the brackets. So now the cube will go along with the 5 because the 5 was the answer inside the bracket. So 5 cubed means 5 times 5 times 5. And when you multiply them together, you will get 125. And that is your answer. Alright, try these on your own. See what you can do.